Welcome. Now, I've done a couple of videos on words, but I came across a clip and I just thought that he illustrated it so beautifully as to why words are so important. So, take it away, Myron Golden.
So, Satan added a word, not, and took out the word freely. Does that change the meaning? Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden means something very different than of every tree of the garden you may freely eat. So what Satan did, he added a word and took out a word. Why? Because Satan is a master at twisting language. It's one of his main methodologies for messing up people's lives. He changes the meaning of words, right? Why? Because Satan understands something we don't understand yet, and that is this, that words are not just a communication tool, they are the window through which we see the world. If I look at this stylus and I don't have a word for this stylus, it just becomes that thing. Well, this stylus being a thing doesn't separate from that chair being a thing, or these glasses being a thing, or these iPads being a thing. If everything was just a thing, then we wouldn't be able to talk about anything. Just like he used the serpent in the Garden of Eden, that's why he's using the media and politicians to change the meanings of words. Why? Because if you change what you say, it changes what you see. Right? So if I give something ugly a pleasant name, it makes it seem not as bad. Y'all picking up what I'm putting down?
And this is the reason why I look at what they're doing instead of what they're actually saying. For years, they went on and on and on about the kids in cages, kids in cages, kids in cages. But as soon as they got in power, it was holding facilities. And they do this all the time. It's just like, you can call it something different, but it's the same thing. It's the same behavior. But if you change the wording, and now we've gotten to the point to where if the wording don't suit us, we're going to have to change the definition. They are actively changing language.
Those issues that we remember the Biden administration for playing games with the English language.
Now, the reason I bring this up is because of the bill that they just passed, the Inflation Reduction Act, that has nothing to do with actually reducing inflation.
It's not going to help in any other area, including some of the sharp rise in food prices that have now just not.
So the Inflation Reduction Act, So the Inflation Reduction Act is not the only initiative we're engaged in. It definitely hits, of course, as we've been discussing,
the Inflation Reduction Act? I mean, you're not really reducing it much.
I think a year from now, inflation will be rising at a slower rate than it is now.
Are you personally comfortable as an economist calling it the Inflation Reduction Act? If you passed a bill called the Fill Every Pothole Act, I mean, voters should expect you to fill every pothole. I mean, so should voters measure the success of this bill on how much you reduce inflation in the next couple of years?
So this bill spins out over several years. This is really an investment in our economy.
The name is just a name, but there are definitely a lot of other names you could have named this bill.
Of the new law, the Inflation Reduction Act sure sounds like price relief is on the way for Americans who are struggling to pay for basic necessities, but they are going to be waiting a while unless you're in the market for something like an electric vehicle or a solar panel. You're not going to see those savings today. The healthcare savings are not going to come until next year.
And this be the thing that pissed me off. Why don't you just tell me that you're giving me the Green New Deal? Just be honest about it. You know what I mean? We're in power. This is what we want to do. We want to take more of taxpayers' money and put it to this. But if you're telling me that you're going to be reducing inflation, but it doesn't touch inflation, but it'll help me if I'm looking to get an electric car or solar panels or nonsense that has nothing to do with inflation, stop lying to me. Not only does this bill not reduce inflation, it is going to raise taxes on the middle class to the tune of $20 billion. And in this Inflation Reduction Bill, they've added 87,000 IRS agents to the beautiful price tag of $80 billion. Paid for by us. To do what, you may ask?
We all knew there was only one place fake LLC Twitter was going to end up, and that's in PPP prison. Okay, PPP period. Y'all know President Biden loved locking black people up, and y'all just helped him. See, I'm not wishing jail on nobody. I just understand that there's consequences to all our actions. And for some reason in this era, people have forgotten that. All right, folks want to do whatever it is they want to do and then get mad when they don't get away with it. It's unreal to me. The mindset is crazy. Okay, and these bills that Biden signed will extend the statute of limitations for prosecuting cases of fraud against the government for 10 years. So for the next decade, if you did a fraudulent PPP scam, you better act like you a rapper from Atlanta who's been warned by the DA that more RICOs are on the way over the next 60 days. By the way, she said that 3 weeks ago, so y'all got about 3 or 4 more weeks left. But I just want to know, what made y'all think y'all could get away with this fraudulent PPP loan scam in the first place?
That's right. You thought that PPP was free? I don't think so, baby. But this is the importance of words. They want to coat what it is that they're doing with something that sounds sweet when it has nothing to do with what it actually is. Like Black Lives Matters has nothing to do with Black lives actually mattering. Antifa has nothing to do with them actually being anti-fascist. They are the fascists. But if you call it something sweet, I mean, are you saying that you're against Black lives? Are you saying that you're for fascism? No. It's manipulation. This is what they master in. And this is the reason why they don't want children to actually be educated. They only want them to be driven emotionally because they don't want them to have the ability to actually process what's being said to them, to be able to look at something and use the art of deduction and come up with their own conclusion. Feel the way I want you to feel. If I push this button, I expect you to roll exactly how I want you to roll. I don't want you to question it. Don't question it. Don't ask questions. Just do. Why? Because they're racist. Why? Because we're looking to save the planet. This is for you. And this is going to lead me into my last clip. Also, Myron Golden. Myron, take it away.
No, wait a minute. Wait. Are you trying to get me to believe that you got my best interest in mind and not God? See, Satan wants us to doubt the disclosure of divinity. What does that mean? He wants us to think that our friends are our enemies and our enemies are our friends. Satan wants us to be for what's against us and against what's for us. Isn't that human nature? We got those three enemies, right? The world, the flesh, and the devil, and all three of them trying to kill us.
This is all it is. If they can scare you with a boogeyman, they'll always have you running. Even in the Word of God, it says that the wicked man runs when nobody's chasing him. Nobody's chasing him. And this is what they have done. They have scared people or placed an image in their mind through words to run to the enemy and not trust those that are actually out to help them. It's the saddest thing. But I hope that this wakes somebody up. Please share, like, subscribe, and remember, family, today is the day of salvation, the year of the Lord's favor. Bride of Christ, arise.